The show opens with a memorial graphic for Tim White. Bianca Belair makes her entrance and gets on the mic. She welcomes us to the show and talks about how she's looking forward to defending her Raw Women's Championship against her new EST contender Rhea Ripley, but unfortunately Rhea will not be medically cleared in time for Money in the Bank. But until then, who will she defend her title against? Tonight Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Carmella, Asuka and Becky Lynch will compete in a 5-way number 1 contenders match. All the 5 women came, and the match started, and the winner of this match was Carmella wins by pinfall with a super kick on Liv Morgan to become number 1 contender for the WWE Raw Women's Championship. Mr. McMahon makes his surprise entrance. He gets on the mic and talks about Raw being the longest running episodic television show in history and thanks us for almost 30 years of Raw and 20 years of which were dominated by the greatest superstar of all time who will be back next week, Mr. Hustle, Loyalty and Respect John Cena. Mr. McMahon left the ring, and then came Matt Riddle. He says he let Randy down, and he's down but he's definitely not out, and Reigns will have to kill him to stop him, and maybe he can't challenge him for the title straight up. But he can win Money in the Bank and he knows it's a long shot, but if he wins the contract and cashes in he can end Roman's reign of terror and get that sweet vengeance for himself and Randy. He also addressed Seth Rollins' attack on Cody Rhodes. He said, "Seth, you attacked Cody's chest with a sledgehammer, but I will hurt your back with the ladder at Money in the Bank." MVP and Omos came and said it will happen in the future, but the person who will cash in on Roman is Omos, not you, because Omos will win Money in the Bank ladder match. Then we saw a match between Omos versus Matt Riddle to qualify for the Money in the Bank ladder match, and the result of this match was Omos wins by pinfall with the choke bomb, qualifying for the Money in the Bank ladder match. Post-match, Omos hits the choke bomb a second time. Then came Seth Rollins, and he was laughing at Riddle, and then hit blackout. Austin Theory makes his entrance, and he talks about John Cena and starts rubbing himself down with oil for the Theory Invitational pose down. He poses a bunch and Bobby Lashley sneaks up behind him and stares at him while the crowd gets louder. He takes a selfie and sees Bob behind him and slowly turns around. Lashley sprays the baby oil in Theory's eyes and hits a spear, and raised the US title. Theory went backstage, and said tonight Bobby Lashley will face 3 opponents in a gauntlet match, and if he wins he will get the United States title opportunity at Money in the Bank. Then we saw a match between Angelo Dawkins versus Jey Uso, and the result of this match was Angelo Dawkins wins by pinfall with a sky high. Then we saw both Ezekiel and Elias together. Ezekiel talks about wishing their father could see them and Elias give him a pep talk, saying he should focus on what's in front of him and he likes what he sees. Then we saw Elias is in the ring to play us some songs. He says it's great to be here and he wants to remind us of the universal truth that WWE stands for Walk with Elias. He dedicates this song to his brother Ezekiel and starts playing, but Kevin Owens interrupted him. Kevin said you're a liar because the footage of him and Ezekiel together was movie magic and he saw a T-Rex fly a helicopter in a movie this week. Zeke appears on the Tron and tells Kev he has to accept it and move on. KO rushes him and Elias gives him the ol El Kabong and sends him running. Then in a backstage interview, Kevin Owens says he's not convinced that Elias and Ezekiel are the same person. He said next week he's challenging him to a match and he doesn't care who he gets, Elias, Ezekiel or his other brother Elrond. Miz welcomed us to the Miz TV, and he invited AJ Styles. Miz talks through AJ's issues of late and says he's embarrassed for him and calls him a failure. Styles asks if that's supposed to sting and calls Miz naive and gets a cheap pop. He's been through adversity before and when he gets disrespected he doesn't come out to his little show and whine, he drops Miz with a forearm. Styles is attacked from behind by Tommaso Champa and we go to break. Then we saw a match between AJ Styles versus Tommaso Champa, and the result of this match was AJ Styles wins by pinfall with the phenomenal forearm. Post-match Miz runs in, AJ cracks him with the Pele kick and then hits Styles clash. Veer Mahan is interviewed on the stage. He says his victory over Rey Mysterio was just the beginning and WWE has never seen hunger like his before. He loves carnage, and this is only the beginning. In the main event we saw a match between Becky Lynch versus Asuka to qualify for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, and the result of this match was Asuka defeated Becky Lynch via pinfall, and qualified for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Becky Lynch was looking very disappointed, and the show went off the air.